Touchdown, Alabama, let's get it.
The process, no one can stop this. Hottest show in the streets, I bet you can't top this. Rammer, jammer, yellow hammer, come see how we rock this. Alabama fans the best, there's no way you can top this. Recruiting news and interviews, just sit back and watch this.
Recruiting news and interviews, just sit back and watch this.
The process.
Hey everyone, Justin Smith here, the scouting and recruiting analyst for Touchdown Alabama magazine, here for a special edition of The Process coming to you guys on Friday evening on Touchdown Alabama's YouTube page. If you're not subscribed to Touchdown Alabama on YouTube, go ahead, do that really quickly. Hit that subscribe button below. Also be sure to leave a like whether you are subscribed or not. We are typically going to be here every Tuesday and Thursday evening breaking down the latest in Crimson Tide football recruiting news, but we are coming to you guys on Friday for this episode of The Process. We wanted to make sure we hit you guys with a show this week because the recruiting dead period is over. That dead period that lasted more than a year has officially ended, and a lot of recruiting news is going on concerning the Alabama Crimson Tide. So I wanted to get on Touchdown Alabama's YouTube page to discuss a couple of those interesting recruiting updates in terms of the latest guys to get on campus for visits or for camps. And I'm going to dive right into a couple of recruiting updates from the last couple of days in Tuscaloosa. Alabama was able to host 5-star defensive end Jaden Wayne for his first visit to the University of Alabama. This was one of his first visits as a prospect because he is a junior, and most of the junior prospects that we are going to see today have not really taken any visits because of that recruiting dead period that was in place for more than a year. I got an opportunity to talk with Wayne after his visit to the University of Alabama. He said he felt great energy. He was very active. He said he loved the facilities. He said he felt that Alabama had everything. If you want to hear a little bit more from Wayne, be sure to check out my interview with him over at touchdownalabama.com. Alabama is expected to continue pushing for him in the 2023 recruiting class, so he's a name I'll definitely pay attention to out of Washington in that 2023 recruiting cycle. Alabama also offered a couple of new prospects from the state of Washington after a camp workout over the last couple of days, and one of those guys was 4-star defensive back Caleb Presley. He said he had been waiting for an Alabama offer since he was 5 years old. Had an opportunity to talk with them. He said he had a great conversation with Nick Saban, and that is where he was informed of his offer from the Crimson Tide. He said Alabama's coaching staff really liked his ability to play man-to-man, which is something Nick Saban really likes to see out of high school defensive backs. They also said there are a couple of areas that he needs to improve on, so he definitely took that to heart. He definitely wants to continue to improve because he is a prospect that is heading into his junior season like Jaden Wayne. So Alabama offered a new defensive back in the 2023 recruiting class, They also offered a surprising prospect, but not really surprising considering this guy's size. A 14-year-old recently picked up an offer from the Crimson Tide. A 14-year-old offensive lineman out of Washington came down with that group of Washington kids to Tuscaloosa this week, and I am talking about Asundre Afar. He got an offer from the Crimson Tide. Alabama does not usually offer guys at this age. They did offer Jahim Otis, who is verbally committed to them in the 2022 recruiting class around this age, but they do not do this often. And Afar is going to be a guy who is going to get a lot of attention throughout his high school career now that he has picked up an offer from Alabama at such an early age, and it is such an interesting story that Alabama has gotten. Alabama has offered a guy at that particular age. But those are the couple of recruiting updates I wanted to talk about. The main thing I wanted to focus on this episode of The Process was the moves that Alabama was able to make this week with a couple of in-state prospects. I feel Alabama made big moves with two guys in particular. One of those guys is Antonio Kite, a 4-star athlete out of Anniston High School in Anniston, Alabama. He had an opportunity to visit Alabama for the first time as a prospect this past week on Wednesday. Alabama got him on campus. He got an opportunity to interact with Alabama's coaching staff in person. He had been in contact with them beforehand, of course, with Zoom, doing things virtually, but he said he was really excited to get on campus. He said it felt different for him to have face-to-face contact with Alabama's coaching staff, especially having face-to-face contact with Nick Saban. He's a guy that I would definitely pay close attention to. He has an opportunity to play football and basketball at the next level at the University of Alabama. Alabama has giving him that opportunity. So he is a guy I want Alabama fans to just continue to pay attention to in terms of where Alabama stands in his recruitment. I think they are at the very top. I think they have made a statement. I think they have solidified their spot at the top of his recruitment, along with the recruitment of 4-star defensive back Trey Kuanfegens out of Oxford High School in Oxford, Alabama. I think it is very interesting that Alabama has continued to climb up his recruitment once again, because he once said that he was really interested in Georgia. He said he had a lot of interest in Georgia. He loved their coaching staff. He told me that was going to be one of the first schools he visited once the recruiting dead period was lifted. But he did visit Alabama early on, now that he was on the campus of the University of Alabama on Wednesday. And Alabama looks to have solidified, I wouldn't say solidified their spot in his recruitment, but I definitely think they have reached the top spot. They are definitely in a good position, a better position than the position that they were in a couple of months ago, when he did say that Georgia was his leader, that he was really interested in the University of Georgia. So I think Alabama has made up some ground with the athletic 4-star defensive back out of Oxford. And when you look at both of these guys' game, they're not really the aggressive defensive backs. They're more of the athletic guys who can cover really, really well. I think they are going to have to grow into themselves in terms of being aggressive, in terms of coming down and run support. But they are guys who have great anticipation skills, guys who know where the ball is going and they attack. These are both guys who can turn those interceptions into pick sixes. Not going to surprise you, not going to just impress you with their size. If you look at their frames in person, they definitely, both of them, can add on some muscle to their frame. But nonetheless, Alabama, in my mind, has climbed to the top of both of these guys' recruitment. I would definitely keep a close eye on both of them heading into the fall, especially over the next couple of weeks, as they continue to take visits, continue to work through their recruitments. Alabama is set to host a long list of official visitors this weekend. Things are not going to stop in Tuscaloosa during the month of June. They will host 7 guys for official visits this weekend. Of course, we've talked about a lot of these guys over the last couple of episodes of the process. Guys like Baron Brown, a 4-star wide receiver out of Nashville, Tennessee. Of course, Alabama offered him after they won the national championship against the Ohio State Buckeyes. They offered him a couple of days later. Nick Saban has been very involved in his recruitment. The Tide offensive line coach Doug Marrone as well. He's a guy I think Alabama fans need to pay attention to when it comes to this weekend, and him taking that official visit, along with Shemar James, the 4-star athlete who's down to Florida in Alabama. We have Jacob Sexton, who will visit Alabama this weekend for an official visit. His first official visit. He has a top 5. Alabama is included in that. He does plan to take a couple of other official visits this summer, but he has not publicly released a date. The only date that he has released is this date, this weekend, that he will visit Alabama. Another guy that will be on campus is 4-star offensive lineman Jake Taylor out of Las Vegas, Nevada, by the way of Bishop Gorman High School. They will be joined by guys who were late additions in terms of Kenyatta Jackson, a 4-star defensive end out of Florida, along with Aaron Anderson, a 4-star wide receiver who's verbally committed to LSU at the moment. Le'Veon Moss, a 4-star running back who Alabama is trying to get more involved in his recruitment, will also be on campus. Of course, Alabama is looking to add another running back to their 2022 recruiting class. So things are going to get very interesting in Tuscaloosa on this weekend. Not only will they have 2022 guys officially visiting, they'll have a couple of other guys unofficially visiting, and they are some pretty high-profile guys in terms of Alabama's 5-star running back commit, Emmanuel Henderson, a former Alabama commit and 5-star linebacker Jeremiah Alexander out of Thompson High School in Alabaster, Alabama, will be on campus. A 2023 5-star defensive end I think Alabama fans definitely need to know about is Peter Woods. He will be on campus. He is also a product of Thompson High School in Alabaster, Alabama. He is projected to be one of the top overall players in the 2023 recruiting class. He'll be joined by guys like 5-star running back and Texas commit Reuben Owens. So there's going to be a lot going on in Tuscaloosa, including Alabama getting a visit from a guy we talked about a couple of episodes back. We talked about him being an underrated defensive back who Nick Saban really seems to like in the 2022 recruiting class, and that is Devin Moore. He will be on the campus of the University of Alabama this weekend. So things are not going to stop in Tuscaloosa. Things are going to continue to keep rolling. A lot of guys are going to continue to take visits. More offers are going to be extended, and we are going to try to keep you guys updated on all of that on touchdownalabama.com. If you're not subscribed to us on YouTube, go ahead, like I said at the top of the show, do that really quickly for me. Hit that subscribe button below. Also, be sure to leave a like whether you are subscribed or not. Then head over to touchdownalabama.com. Pick up your subscription today. With that subscription, you will be able to read all of our subscriber-only articles, get your hands on our yearly print magazine issue, also get an opportunity to read our in-depth scouting reports on each child committed, each recruiting class. Then head to the Google Play Store if you have an Android device, or to the Apple App Store if you have an Apple device, to download the Touchdown Alabama app. With that app, breaking news notifications can be sent to your mobile device. As always, I am Justin Smith, the scouting and recruiting analyst for Touchdown Alabama magazine.
Process.